Good morning, it's November 23rd, a little later than it was yesterday, so the sun is already up, although it hasn't been up very long. It's about -5 Celsius, so that's, 21 Fahrenheit. And I thought I'd walk down to the south part of Wascana Center today. Every place is, even though I've walked places multiple times, they're all new now because there's snow. So, just get a little more snow tonight, but not a huge amount, I don't think, maybe a centimeter. Hope the sound doesn't do anything weird today. Yesterday it was muffled for about half of the YouTube video, slightly, or just faint, and then all of a sudden it came back really strong. On Facebook, one person said they couldn't hear it at all, but on the replay on Facebook the sound is there. So I don't know. I think I might have a bad cable or something on the microphone side, because it is a receiver. There was like a iffy connection inside that cable that might explain where the sound comes and goes. Hi Miriam in India. Oh, let's do this. Keep forgetting if I press the right thing, I can get a count of how many people are watching at any given time. I don't know if it's accurate or not, but it's a number. Good morning, Colleen. Well, that's 2 people watching. One in India, one in Regina. Covers the globe. Spanning the globe. How did that? That was the wide world of sports used to start that way. Spanning the globe to bring you the something. The thrill of agony. No, the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat. The thrill of agony, the victory of defeat. I used to watch Wide World of Sports quite a bit, although I was only excited when there was auto racing. There was never enough auto racing. Now there's auto racing all the time and I never watch it because I hardly ever watch television sports of any sort. Occasional Rough Rider game. Lovely morning. A slightly chilly sort of way. When I get back, I have lots of editing to do, and also this is a show week. Lyric singers have shows on Friday and Saturday at the Hungarian Club. If you're in Regina, you probably can't make it from India. 7:30 each night. Guilty pleasures. Songs that you love even though you shouldn't. So lots of really popular stuff. And a few earworms. My solo is California Dreaming, which, as I said, is perfect considering I'm doing all this walking, and it starts with, went for a walk on a winter's day. I'd be safe and warm if I was in LA. How long until we see the first dog walker? That's the real question. So go over, walk along the lake just briefly, and then down alongside all the government buildings. So we head down to South Wascana Center today. That's the plan. Hi, Roger. Harrington Muse, or Wally Knight lives in the Shards of Excalibur series. Just down at the end there, in a fake house. Well, a real house, but not a real house that actually exists. It's real in his world, his version of Regina, which isn't quite the same as the real Regina. Oop, sun's definitely up, because there it is. Ah, right there. honk. Gonk, it actually says, not honk. Good morning, sun. Oh, that's bright. Lights up the bridge nicely. This side. It's kind of a scenic shot if you like blinding sunlight. Of course, the camera does a pretty good job of squelching it down there. Way better than my eyes are doing. Not much to see on the lake except the glare off the ice there. Flags up there, they can't really see them flying, but they have the Agribition flag, and I'm thinking I might try to go take a walk around Agribition, maybe tomorrow. Have to pay to get in. Morning. This is what we'll get on Friday when I walk around the lake too. Or at least part of it. Now where I really want to be is over there. There should be a path, but I don't know if they've cleared it or not. They dug all this up, and I don't know why. Now they put it back. The hill looks bigger here. Maybe that's my imagination. Here's where the path is that I plan to take. So that's it for the lake today. We'll get back to that on Friday. Again, there's the bridge, all lit up in the morning. 2 school buses waiting at the light up here. It's not bad, Canada. Now, let me see. I actually think I will go this way. I'm trying to stay off of Albert Street. Back to the ledge here. Not a lot of slippery spots along here, so I'm being cautious. Again, the thing about walking in the winter I've discovered is that what is a short walk, or at least I know how long it'll be in the summer, you can always add a few minutes to that because of the care you have to take in walking. Shorten your stride and walk a little slower. the War Memorial over there, coming up on the right. Provincial War Memorial. And of course, there's the Legislative Building, somewhat silhouetted at the moment with the sun behind it. It's the Provincial War Memorial. Guess this is the West Wing. It's like the old TV show. Walk with me. There's the sun again, sparkling on the snow there. West Wing right from the end. Now, in the summertime, there's a fountain up here, but not right now. Well, it's still there, it's just not fountaining. One thing I had yesterday was a phone call with Lit Distco, Literary Distribution Company, looking to see if I can afford to take them on as my distributor for Shadow Paw Press books. It's a hard choice. It costs quite a bit up front, but by having a proper distributor in Canada, if you can get the word out, you're more likely to make sales to bookstores, so you could make more money. Also, they have a deal with a printer who, it sounds like, can print the books about half what I'm paying for them using print on demand with Ingram in the States, which I've been using so far. So, and I have to apply, so I might not even get accepted, but I would hope I would. As I look towards Shapers of Worlds Volume 3 that I hope happens next year. And there's a young adult book from a well-known author that he's willing to have Shadow Paw Press publish. A short novel with almost a novella with a very strong prairie connection, albeit Alberta, not Saskatchewan. Well, technically Swan Hills, but anyway, Métis character. I like it a lot. It's called The Emir's Falcon. So I'm working towards that. But there's no contract or anything, so it's still not definite. Doing my research right now. I would like Shadow Paw Press to be a more publisher. It'll keep publishing my stuff through it, because why not? But I also want to publish other people's stuff. And have through the 2 anthologies. And of course my grandfather-in-law's First World War memoirs, One Lucky Devil. Which, aside from the anthologies, may be my most popular of the books I published. This is the Walter Scott Building, named after the first premier, government office building. There's the sign. another government office building up ahead. The question is, which way do I go when I get to it? There's a couple of options. I think I'll walk on down and go behind the Mckenzie Art Gallery T.C. Douglas building to start. Certainly warm enough. Once I start walking, I usually am. So, that's Albert Street over there. If I do walk along Albert Street, it'll be on the way home. I might cross over and walk in Lakeview to get home, 1 block over or something like that. Just to avoid this busier street. This is the named after another former premier, Walter Scott, after whom the first one was named back there, as the first premier of Saskatchewan. Oversaw the building of the legislative building, among other things. And I portrayed him once for the 100th anniversary of the Hill Companies. In my take, he was a time traveler and had come forward on H.G. Wells' time machine to talk about how the city had changed since he was premier. Lloyd Place. Up next is the T.C. Douglas building, named after yet another former premier, Tommy Douglas. I guess I don't actually know what T.C. stands for. Thomas something Douglas. Tommy Douglas, but I can't remember what the C stands for. It's my middle initial. In my case, it stands for Chain. I'm pretty sure it wasn't that. And my grandfather's middle name was Chambers, so it was Ewan Chambers Willett, so he was E.C. Willett, and that's why I'm E.C. Willett, even though my names are different, I have the same initials. My nose is running. Still sore from that fall. I feel it on the right side of my chest, which is where I pulled something. It particularly bothers me when I'm lying down. Most of the time during the day I don't notice it, but I notice it when I'm walking, and I think it's because of the way I'm holding the gimbal. There's the sun again. A little bit of public art out here next to, because the Mckenzie Art Gallery is in there in the T.C. Douglas building, kind of on this end of it. On the bottom 2 floors, I guess. It has this nice so much now, but in the spring they're nice. midsummer, which we'll get to again. Just give us 6 months, everything will be back to the way it was. This big open space has been used for public concerts and festivals, that kind of thing. People play football out there and frisbee and stuff. At least the sidewalk's nice and clear. I can keep up my usual pace along here. There's the Lloyd building and the ledge. Nicely lit up by the morning sun. Oh, I think I'm going to take off my hat for a bit. It's getting hot. I might put it back on if my ears get cold. But as long as I'm in the sun, don't notice it. See, it's been warm enough that on the side where the sun shines, if it's actually melted off, we don't really have that much snow yet. Hillsides will often melt off because they get the more solar effect. You can see on this side where it slopes down, there's still more snow. Over here, it's quite bare until you hit the big piles over there, which are cleared off the parking lot. Big piles. They'll just get bigger as the winter goes along. Piles are outside skating rinks because the Zamboni scrapes the ice and they dump that outside. And for most of the winter, it doesn't melt. So this is part of the Wascana Rehabilitation Center. As I often mention, I sang there once and sang Don't Get Around Much Anymore, and thought afterwards that might not be the best choice for a place where people were recuperating in wheelchairs, but nobody seemed to mind. Don't know exactly what this wing of it is. California Dreaming is running through my head because I mentioned it, and it is my solo for Guilty Pleasures coming up this week. Go to reginalyric.com. You can read more about that and get tickets, should you live in Regina. It's at the Hungarian Club on Friday and Saturday at 7:30 p.m. each night. Live band. Great band. Pretty good sized chorus. A little heavy on like a 4-to-1 ratio. It could be a 5-to-1 ratio, women to men, but slippery out here in places. Thinks you've been out for a smoke. And there's the rehab center, the sign again. And across the road. And through the trees to Wascana Lake we go, except we're not going there today. A Thanksgiving song, just so you know. in case you wondered. And of course, this is American Thanksgiving week. And I am American as well as Canadian, dual citizen, but darn it, I won't be taking Thursday off and having turkey. I'm going to a special dinner tonight, but it's fish, the German Wine Society. I often point that out. I was here for the opening of that, and originally it had panels with like pictures of various tourist attractions, and the Science Center was there when we first opened. I was there for the grand opening, but it doesn't do that anymore. Now it's just kind of a shelter. It's probably where the woman back there went for her smoke. I usually walk the other way on this path, so even though I've been out here before, this is kind of a new approach. And of course, there wasn't snow before, so everything is new with snow. Oh, prairie chickens. Don't know what their proper name is. Scientific name, I mean. But they're prairie chickens. Patch of ice there. Now I will go right area over here. The road, which I'm not interested in. So there's downtown on the other side of the lake through the trees. That's where I am. We're going down here. There's the prairie chickens again. So there's several paths here you can take before you get to the far edge. There's two more paths that go that way in the middle here. Surprised I haven't seen any snowshoe hares yet. Keep out walking though. Yeah, the other side of this road up here is where the city grows trees. And of course, all these trees are planted, as I like to point out, except possibly some willows along the creek bed. This takes us by the sculpture here, which I've walked by many times. It's a steel I-beam with a cable, I guess you'd say, wrapped around it. And the question is it as a constraint or a support? Personally, I see it as a constraint. It's called wrap. Tension or comfort? Is the beam being constrained and controlled by the wrapped bar, or is it being encircled and embraced? You decide. You decide. To me, I would say constrained, my first thought. That's probably just my libertarian streak. And over here is the city's, what do you call it? Arboreum, I guess. And that's Roberts Plaza, that apartment building there, the tall one, just with the sun behind it. We'll go down this side again into the interior. Now walking straight toward Wascana. And we've kind of turned the corner now and are headed back closer to home with every step. Well, the snow makes everything look pretty. I mean, it's pretty in the spring too. There's a certain period of time when all the leaves are gone and there's no snow on the ground, but it's pretty brown and dreary. But there's the moon up there. So in the spring, this is a pond. It's mostly been dry because it was a dry summer, but now it has snow in it. So when the snow melts, it'll fill up with water again. That's why it has rushes around it. Cattails. First time I walked by it, which was last spring, it was full of water, quite a good sized pond. Over the summer, it gradually disappeared. I've walked down here maybe, I don't know, 5 times, 6 times. In all of the walks I've done, which is approaching or has reached 250 at this point. Hard to believe. That's what YouTube tells me, and YouTube wouldn't lie. Well, the geese, ducks, all of them really. There's very few birds that linger over the winter. There's a few. How did that work? Geese can actually overwinter without open water. Ducks have to have open water. But in general, they'll all go. There used to be open water year-round over by the powerhouse, which is no longer a powerhouse. It's now the Saskatchewan Science Center where I used to work. And that's when some geese started overwintering, I think, some birds. But there hasn't been that for a while, and there really isn't, I wouldn't think, any place on the lake that has open water year-round. It'll freeze. Probably has mostly already. We'll find out on Friday. There was still some open water around the edge last Friday when I walked around the lake. We'll see this Friday. I suspect that'll be gone. Up around freezing right now, and there's one warm day coming on, actually Friday, which will melt a lot of snow, but because at night it's still going well below freezing, and the nights are longer than the days, so there's more below freezing temperature than freezing, above freezing, even on a warm day. So Wascana Rehab over here. I'll walk in front of it now, and back in front of the Mckenzie Art Gallery. Oh, slippery. There's a bus stop here. Here's the main entrance. Watching my feet because there are patches of ice along on the road there. Usually if I stop talking, it's because I'm trying not to fall down. Having done it once, I don't want to do it again this winter. I do it about maybe once a winter, maybe once every 2 winters. Usually it's not much of a fall. You like kind of half fall, kind of catch yourself, but you still go down. I have had a couple of really bad falls over the years where it just went feet out, straight down. Fortunately, didn't hurt myself. Yes, I'm not surprised Dubai is a lot warmer than we are. In the summer, we can hit 40 degrees, 38 to 40. I think the record for Saskatchewan is quite a bit higher than that, back in the 30s, when our hottest weather seems to have been. I used to know that. Was it 47 or something ridiculous like that in my Dale? 114 degrees Fahrenheit anyway. In my Dale back in 30 something. It's the Saskatchewan record, unless it's broken since I last looked. But that was the record for a long time anyway. And our record cold, actually maybe that's where the 47 came from. I remember a day in Weyburn when I was down there that it was minus 47 Fahrenheit, not Celsius, which would be about minus 43 Celsius. So it's an extreme climate here. It is possible in 1 year to go from minus 40 to plus 40 between winter and summer. Certainly minus 35 to plus 35 every winter, summer. It's because we're landlocked. There's no large bodies of water moderating our climate. All right, here's the the T.C. Douglas building again. Speaking of Weyburn, he was a Baptist preacher in Weyburn before he got into politics. Premier in the 40s, early 50s. There are some who would say Saskatchewan has never recovered from that. Depends on how you feel about his politics, which were avowedly socialist, so. Different folks have different ideas about that. Anyway, here's the building named after him. This side is all government offices and the Mckenzie Art Gallery. We'll walk up to its entrance up here when we get across a little further. I remember, it seems like it wasn't that long ago, walking along here and these cherry trees were all in blossom. You've just been somewhere, when in fact it's been weeks or months. I think, well, I just did that about taking walks, and then I realized, no, that was weeks ago. And anyway, very few people will notice that I've repeated myself. Very few people will notice that I've repeated myself. Very few people will notice that I've repeated myself. Did you notice? We'll take a walk up. That's a Canada Post truck with non-standard livery on it. Usually red and white. Well, if there's one thing we have here, it's a wide and very distinct seasons, wide variety and very distinct seasons. Canada Post. It's a Pride paint job. Here's the front of the T.C. Douglas building, and Mckenzie Art Gallery is over this way. Behind these windows. Probably no particular reason well, I don't know. Depends on the artwork whether you could take pictures or not, so I wouldn't want to try to walk through there with my camera. All right, we're on the homeward side of this walk now, and it will be a good hour by the time I get back. So again, definitely a little slower in the winter than I am during the summer on these walks. Loading dock. I've toured the vaults, as they call them, because they're vaults, where the permanent collection is stored. That was interesting. Many years ago, they had a tour of the vaults that I was on. There's Lloyd Place again. We're just getting over to this side now. Oh, there's the sun reflecting. And on reflection, that's the sun. I won't cross Albert Street here. If I cross, I'll want to go up where there's a light, so I'll walk down it for a bit. Might just walk down it all the way. In a way, that's easier. It's long and straight, but it has trees on either side. I mean, there is a crosswalk here, but you have to trust the cars to stop, which better if there's a light. So we'll go down to the light and decide. Otherwise, it's just straight down here for several blocks to the vanishing point. As we call it in perspective, in art. I was quite enamored with perspective when I learned it when I was a kid. I would draw all sorts of things using the vanishing point. Get that sense of depth. I minored in art, and it was kind of a toss-up. I would have liked maybe to have gone into art, but the writing was more. So that's the route I went, and music was a possibility, and science. I was interested in many things. I still am. Part of my problem over the years has been a certain lack of complete focus on any one thing. I mean, Leonardo da Vinci had the same problem, so, you know. He and I, pretty much the same. don't know, maybe I'll just walk down this side through the trees up here. It's a little more interesting once you get two sets of trees arching over you. Might depend on what the light does. If it works out perfectly for crossing Albert Street, maybe I'll go across. If it's still thoroughly green when I get across, then I'll keep walking. So far, it doesn't show any signs of changing. Okay, I'm going straight, so I don't have to stop. Besides, this is kind of cool. Just the trees and the snow and the long straight sidewalk. Really pretty if there'd been hoarfrost, which I'm sure there will be sometime this winter, and then I'll get a really pretty hoarfrost walk. At least I can walk pretty much up to speed along here. So there's the Walter Scott building again. We retrace our steps, but about half a block to the west. If there were blocks over there, which there aren't. The other side of the street, of course, is all the big houses along here on Albert, which I've walked by before on the other side a few times. Nicely lit up, of course, this time of the morning by the sun. Most of these go back to the early years of the city. This was kind of the neighborhood for those early movers and shakers, business people, real estate developers, all that kind of thing. The ledge is always not too far away. And the long straight road continues. You've heard of the long and winding road. Makes a more interesting song than the long unwinding road that leads to my door. Not really even unwinding. It was never wound to begin with. A long, straight, boring road. It's not really boring, but it is long and straight. Long, straight, tree-lined road. There we go. That leads to the bridge. Won't quite take me home. Where there's milk in the fridge. I don't know. As I sang that, I realized not much rhymes with bridge. Ridge, fridge, midge. That's about it. Not as bad as orange, which nothing rhymes with in the English language. Here's the legislature again. So we're getting close to the bridge now. 2 more intersections. Tomorrow, as I mentioned off the top, I might go pay my $20, do a walk in there with my camera for the trade show and the animals, everything else. I might. I couldn't walk down, well, I could walk down there, but I down there because once I get there, I'd have to have my phone to show my vaccine passport. might walk down, go in, do my walk around exhibition, and then walk back and record it all. Probably be a good hour. Because I've got so much editing work to do. I'm leery about taking the time, and yet, well, let's see, it's on till the 27th, which is, okay. Could go down on Saturday. Hey, that's my first unstable internet warning. Could be my Saturday thing to do. We're busy on a Saturday. Okay. One more road to cross here. Timing perfectly on the light. It's the road in front of the legislature building. The ledge is right there, just behind us. One more block to the bridge. I think I'll walk across the bridge up on this side. I almost never walk on the bridge on this side, usually on the other side. For some reason, this piece of the road, so I have to pay closer attention. I joke when I first started doing this, because Facebook Live, not Faceplant Live, and then I did a Faceplant Live a couple of... I wasn't even on Tumblr, and yet I took a tumble. Guess it was inevitable. At some point, I've almost... And yes, it did make an impression. That's why I keep talking about it. So I can either cross the bridge or I can walk the lake. The bridge is kind of dirty and lots of traffic, so I think if there's a beaten path that way, which there often is. Oh, it's not even that beaten, it's actually cleared. Relatively new. I'm sure it didn't used to be here. Or maybe somehow I just never noticed it. I don't know. Anyway, we'll go back down by the lake here just for a little bit till we get back to the underpass. See the city over there, downtown I mean. We're in the city, but that's downtown. Sun has moved quite a bit from when okay, I know the Earth is actually the one moving, but from when I first came along the lake an hour ago. You can see she's frozen. And then there's geese. There's always geese. They haven't quite all headed south yet. Some right overhead here. I wouldn't walk on that ice yet. It might be okay, but it might not. Not that I'll walk on it any time, but in the wintertime, when it's 3 feet thick or more, or frozen right to the bottom in the shallower parts of the lake, you don't have to worry about it. And I have driven on a lake in Saskatchewan when I was working as a newspaper reporter in Weyburn, and went out to take pictures of people ice fishing. That too was a shallow lake, and it must have had, I don't know how, I think they said they had like 6 feet of ice they had to go through to reach the water. So you could drive anything on that lake. They do still have a thin ice warning here. And of course this is where the water is flowing under the ice and under the bridge over the dam. You can hear it running. So the water would probably start to accelerate as it goes that way, which make this ice thinner. You can see there's open ice, open water, just the other side of the bridge. So one more last look at the lake, with the sun shining off of it. And then we'll head on the last couple of blocks home here. There's still some color in those trees. It's just the branches though, it's not leaves. All right, back through the underpass. You can tell how still it is. The flags aren't moving at all. Okay. This snow's not going anywhere down in here. Have to get really warm to start melting it. It blew in during the blizzard because the wind was quite high. It obviously blew in from this end, I think, and collected. And if you go back and look, you'll see that I actually have video of the blizzard. I went out and walked in it for about half an hour, or even longer. I'm going to walk down Albert a little bit over here, just to change my route home from what I usually take. Go down to Leopold Crescent. So Albert Street here would take you right through the city, north to south. It doesn't curve at all, just straight through, north to south. And it would take about 20 minutes to do that, tops. So it gives you an idea of how not huge Regina is. From the southern edge to the northern edge, probably 20 minutes. Maybe 25, depending on how you hit the lights. But I suspect it's more like 20. So for that reason, it's kind of the main drag and one of the busiest roads in the city. Which is why I seldom walk very long along it, because of the traffic. And also right here, the curb and the sidewalk and the driving lane are right next to each other. So you really don't want to walk close to the curb in case of sticking out mirrors or anything like that. And these houses look a bit like a Christmas postcard now with the snow. That one's for sale, that I just pointed out, if you're looking. Yeah. Well, there's my hour mark, so I didn't think I'd do a full hour today, but I did. Here's the grasshopper. So I walked through the snow? Sure, other people have. Why not? It'll have Christmas lights on it later if it doesn't already. In the summer, it's got vines growing on it to make it green. All right, now we'll go through this alley to be different, but that's still Davin School in front of us, aka the Crescents School. It's harder work, these winter walks, getting more exercise. You walk slower, but you work harder because of the uncertain traction and the snow and everything else. Oh, hey, let's go down the alley. That's what we'll do. The blue bins are recycling. That's tomorrow. Hi, Greg. Yeah, it's sunny today. Land of living skies, but today they're just blue. There's a beautiful sunset last night. My wife got pictures of. Absolutely stunning. One love. Oop. Figures. Which way is he going? He'll be pulling out ahead of me. What are the odds? Somebody would be pulling out just as you were walking down the alley. Geese. Where are they? Oh, there they are. I had a lot of them, actually. Wolf Perot country, back alley is something he paints. We have a couple of his. In fact, he's the one who made that giant grasshopper back there, the artist. His daughter owns a gallery not far from here, where we've bought things and been many a time. There's the school again. Almost home, which is good. I can see in heavy snow, I don't think I'd manage an hour. Or really slippery conditions. It's just much more tiring. Although, if you make sure you walk half an hour away from your home, you have no choice but to do an hour, because when you turn around, it's still half an hour back. So you can always force yourself to do more than you think you really want to. Alrighty, we'll stop here. It's over an hour, so thanks for walking with me. I'll be back tomorrow. Bye for now.